Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of 2OT. Ako po si Carlo Pamintuan with Magumar John. 2OT is, of course, presented to you by Smart 5G dito sa Smart Sports Facebook page. If you're watching us on Tiebreaker Times or on the 2OT page, maraming salamat po. Please don't forget to like the Smart Sports Facebook page to follow all of their outstanding sports content. If you are watching us from Smart Sports, maraming salamat po sa inyong patuloy na suporta. Magu, our episode is all about the big trade na gumulantang sa atin. No? Ang tahimik ng hapon, bigla a massive trade between the San Miguel Beermen and Northport Batangpian.
I don't think anybody saw this trade coming. Carlo, this reminds me of the shock that we all felt when James Yap got traded. Yeah. Merong certain people, certain athletes, certain personalities and franchises that have been tied together forever na hindi mo akalaing maghihiwalay. But it is what it is. James Yap, back in the day, got traded away from the Pure Foods franchise. And ngayon naman, si Arwind Santos, who spent the last 12 years and etched himself into a legend dyan sa prangkisa ng San Miguel Beermen, the winningest franchise in the PBA. They have now parted ways with Arwind Santos, which means, yun nga yung title ng banner neto, no? The end of the Death Five. It is definitely the end of an era, Carlo.
We've been talking about yung lineup na yan, no? Arwind Santos with Junmar Fajardo, Marcio Lassiter, Chris Ross, and Alex Cabagnot. We've been talking about them for the longest time as one of the best, possibly one of the best fives we've ever seen, no? Ako personally, since hindi ko napanood yung mga Crispa, yung mga Toyota, the heyday of the San Miguel Beermen, I could say that I think this is the best five that I've ever seen, at least in the PBA. But the discussions are there because of what they've accomplished no Magu. Napakaraming championships nung maipanalo nung lima yan under Coach Leo Austria.
Most importantly, Carlo, yung Philippine Cup, yung all-Filipino natin. You gotta remember, mamaya papasadahan natin yung ilan sa mga pinakamababangis na five in our lifetime. Like Carlo said, hindi na namin po inabot din ang Crispa, ang Toyota, and the early 80s. Umpisa na natin yan siguro sa 89 San Miguel. Mamaya natin papasadahan yan. Pero like you just mentioned, Carlo, yung San Miguel, itong limang to, the 9 championships, the 5 Philippine Cups, before TNT won 3 straight in the early 2010s, nobody repeated for 27 years. 27 years pang walang naka-back-to-back na Philippine Cup. Hiwa-hiwalay palagi. You can back-to-back the commissioners or the governors o nagka-fiesta pa nga tayo in the mid-2000s. Pero yung Philippine Cup, ganun po kahirap kunin itong All-Filipino. 27 years walang nakaka-repeat ng All-Filipino until TNT did it 2010, 11, and 12. And then San Miguel did it 5 in a row just in recent memory. Di ba, Carlo?
Amazing. It just speaks volumes of how they are as a unit. Yung Commissioner's Cup, yung Governor's Cup, pag naghalo ka ng import, paminsan mas nahihirapan pa nga silang maglaro, di ba? Because they're so used to playing alongside each other. Nakita rin natin, Magu, no? When things weren't going their way in the semifinals kontra sa TNT, ano yung ginawa nila? They went back to that Death Five, to Arwind Santos and Fajardo and Marcio and Alex and Chris, and they made it happen once again. Kinapos lamang nga against the eventual champion. So, certainly, again, an end of an era. I'm sure na yung mga San Miguel Beer fans, syempre maraming excited with their welcoming of Vic Manuel. But syempre marami ring malulungkot kasi ang haba nung pinagsamahan nyo ni Arwind Santos. I mean, 12 years. That is a long time to be cheering for someone, no, for SMB fans. Ang tagal mong pinag-cheer si Arwind, ang daming pinanalong championships para sa'yo nitong si Arwind Santos, and to have to say goodbye to him, I'm sure this is difficult time to be a San Miguel Beer fan, but we all know why they did it. It's planning for the future. It's a 40-year-old Arwind Santos being traded away para sa isang mas bata na Vic Manuel who's at 34. So in terms of just the reasons why he was traded, yun yung pinakamalaki siguro, the youth, yung 6 years being the junior, itong si Vic Manuel.
We're not even sure if they're done already. We're not even sure about that. Sure. Hindi pa po tayo sure dahil marami ng analysis syempre lalabas. Sandali. Si Arwind may outside shot, si Vic Manuel mid-range lang, hindi kaya magsisikip sila ni Junmar sa ilalim. Hindi pa po natin sure kung tapos na. Meron pa naman ilang linggo bago yung susunod na tournament natin, which is gonna be mid to late November. Inaantay na lang ang clearance from the IATF and all of that. Pinagdadasal na natin lahat, syempre, na matuloyan. But one thing's for sure nga, while we're not sure if they're done already with retooling this lineup and all the other teams for that matter, all of the 11 other teams aside from San Miguel, ang sure lang tayo dahil nawala na nga si Arwind, natapos na nga po yung era nung lineup of death, yung Death 5 netong San Miguel Beermen. Kanina nag-tweet ka, Carlo, yung 5 sila.
Yeah.
Na yung sinabi, nilagay lang po ni Carlo sa Twitter kanina, I can't believe we're not gonna see this again. Yung crowd ng San Miguel nasa background, tas lahat sila nakatalikod, yung mga number nila at apelido lang nila. That's a sight for sore eyes. No? Di ba, Carlo? That is just, di ba? When you look at that picture, you know the stories behind this 5.
And imagine, Magu, imagine having, some of your friends na naging kaibigan mo for more than a decade, di ba? Imagine mo lang yun. But some of your closest friends, for sure, higit isang dekada mo nang nakakasama. Tapos bigla all of a sudden, the normal times na nakikita mo sila, biglang hindi na mangyayari. I'm sure the friendships will remain, but breaking away from what has been usual for you in the past, 12 years for Arwind, I can't even imagine. It's very difficult to imagine, but yun talaga eh. That is the business of the PBA. That is the business of basketball. It's just part of it. Being traded from one team to another, kahit na napakatagal mo dyan, kahit na nakapagpanalo ka ng napakaraming championships, it's just part of the journey as a basketball player, as a professional basketball player at that.
Carlo, I like kanina si James binabanggit natin, it reminds us of how shocking that trade was. Isa mo pang pwedeng isipin dito, may angulo din na, remember just before San Miguel dominated the Philippine Cup, they actually traded away Alex Cabagnot for a conference and then got him back. And that's when they went on the run. Given that the age of Arwind, he's 40 years old, you think there's a possibility na bumalik or ano? I don't know. Kasi magkaiba ng kwento dahil parang we were talking about this, baka kailangan na ng changing of the guard sa San Miguel and we were in a wait and see situation and now we're starting to see. Looks like they are going to give more responsibility to guys like CJ, Terrence, and Mo if those 3 are staying. Diba?
I think the biggest difference, Mugu, you already said it. Nasabi mo na yung edad. Diba? Alex Cabagnot was still, entering the prime of his career when he was traded back to SMB. I think it was for Sol Mercado, diba? Tama? Sol Mercado was the one traded for him. I believe it was right before the start of the quarterfinals. Yun yung naging trade between Sol Mercado and Alex Cabagnot. But we're talking about that and it was, diba? Ilang taon na yung nakakaraan and Alex Cabagnot is still playing at a very high level. I think it's difficult to say for Arwind Santos just because he is 40 years old already. So, but again, if merong isang player, Magu, na sobrang inalagaan yung sarili, na kayang maglaro for 5 more years or 6 more years at a decent level in the PBA, it's Arwind Santos. I mean, if titignan mo yung pangangatawan ni Arwind from college to now, almost did not change. Ganyan kagaling si Arwind in taking care of his body. Yung buhok lang yung nag-iiba. Pero more than that, beyond that, walang nagbago talaga from Arwind.
I guess, Carlo, just like how some Magnolia faithful are still hoping na before James Yap hangs it up, he could come back one conference or one season or diba, just to really put a bookend on it or a period on it, on the story. Siguro yung San Miguel fans pwede rin antayin yan or pangarapin yan or asahan yan. But we can all speculate all we want. But for this particular episode, I guess, yung Death 5, yung Arwind with San Miguel, yun yung pagkwentuhan natin. Yung, for now, yung naging good times ng San Miguel, yung historic na mga pinagagawa nila, how they have, yung alamat na itong grupo ng San Miguel Beermen na to, yun yung i-appreciate na lang muna natin, Carlo.
For sure. Laging sinasabi ni Coach Leo Austria, no? Their biggest strength is Junmar Fajardo. But yung biggest strength ni Junmar Fajardo are the people around him. The people who are surrounding him. And it is these 4 na nakikita nyo sa picture kasama ni Fajardo. Ross, Arwind, Marcio, and Cabagnot. yung amo yan, yung chemistry, yung natural na galaw ng bola that we come to, really respect for the past few years. It's just a sight to behold. No? Pag nakita mo yung bola pumapasok kay Junmar, umiikot sa lahat ng player hanggang mahanap yung pinakabukas na tira. It's just how basketball was supposed to be played. And SMB played it perfectly, and it led to multiple championships for this 5.
There's always been certain teams na nakapagtatak sa mga PBA fans nung talagang level nila. Latest one is this San Miguel team. Etong bagong TNT Tropang Giga, you heard it from Coach Chot himself. Simula pa lang ng tournament hanggang pumasok sa playoffs, hanggang mag-finals, hanggang matapos, gusto nila magbuo sila ng kultura na naman. Gusto nila maging ganun ulit sila. But before this, our lifetime, pasadaan natin konti, Carlo.
Sure.
1989, nag-Grand Slam yung San Miguel Beermen.
Uh-huh.
Ang lineup nila noon, Hector Calma at the point. Ricky Brown na third conference na pumasok. Pero si Ato Agustin was a rookie back then and he was the 1992 MVP. Coach Ato Agustin, he was in that lineup. So Ricky Brown, Ato Agustin tayo at the 2. And then of course, Samboy Lim. And then meron kang Alvin Teng o pwedeng ibistig na Dice, yung pang-apat mo sa number 4 mo. And Don Ramon, El Presidente, Ramon Fernandez at the 5. Pero kita mo na yung 5 na yon. 7 pa yun. Pumipili ka lang 5. Ito kasing 5 to, yan na yun.
Wala eh. Oo eh. Touch move eh. Wala kang papalitan sa 5. There is, there are lots of teams. Nababanggitin natin yung iba sa kanila, no, na sobrang galing din nung 5. Pero laging may sasabihin ka na, pero yung 6-man nila, sobrang galing din, di ba? Parang you talk about the 6-man, you talk about the 7th-man even. But, I mean, with all due respect to everyone who ever helped SMB, we don't wash out the contributions of the bench. Hindi po yun yung punto natin, no? But these 5 players were just so in tune with each other. Yung chemistry laging nandun, and of course the talent was really there, and it just worked perfectly together. As Magu will mention some of the best 5s na napanood din natin in the PBA.
1995, my favorite team of all time, the Sunkist Orange Juicers, yung 5 niyan, Carlo. Idol ko, kauna-una ang idol ko sa basketball. Boy Beats Victoria at the 1, and then interchangeable at the 2 and 3, Kenneth Duremdes, Vergel Meneses. And then at the 4, meron kang Nelson Asaytono pa on the same team. And at the 5, Zaldi Reolubit. Pero ayan na naman, meron ka pang Bonel Balingit, meron ka pang Alsolis, meron ka pang Rudy Distrito. Like you were saying, yung sa San Miguel, marami rin po. Through the years, marami sila naging 6th, 7th, 8th man. Pero paikot-ikot. Etong 5 to, they stayed together, they stuck together. At sila talagang sasabi mong 4, sila yung bumuhat. With all due respect, of course, to everybody who played a role on that squad. That Sunkist Orange Juicers team, Carlo, they almost won a Grand Slam. Nakadalawa yan. Natalisod lang nung 1995 sa third conference sa semifinals. Steven Smith pa, yung import, yung nandun, panoorin nyo sa Netflix. Nandun siya ngayon, bida siya.
Teka, siya yung import ng third conference? Teka.
Yes, sirs. Yes, sirs. Sinabi ko, ayun ba, nakalimutan ko ba bang magtampo sa atin? Si Eric Reyes nasa team na yun. Nung napanood niya dito sa Netflix din, sabi niya, teka lang. Teka lang. Napateka lang din siya. Pero how do you like that team? Meneses, Durendes, Asaytono on the same team, Carlo?
Bilang lumaki akong Pure Foods fan, that was that put the fear of God into me. Napakalakas ng team na yan. I mean, that was Magu, as you said, no, possibly one of the best teams who did not win a Grand Slam. Sobrang galing sobrang lalim, sobrang galing nung team. Wish they would have kept it together for a longer period of time. Could have really built, a team that would win multiple championships. Pero walang wala ka nang mahihinging kulang. But again, if you compare it to SMB, like, 'di ba? Yun yung point nito, kukumpara natin yung mga 5 yan with SMB. 1 to 4, sure, papalag. But at the 5, Junmar versus, with all due respect to Bonel Balingit and Zaldi Realubit.
Zaldi.
Oo Doon mo makikita na may dip talaga. That's why we are putting itong Death 5 ng SMB on a pedestal. Dahil it's been it's been a wild ride for the San Miguel Beer fans in the past few years.
Before we mention the next, of course, we're going to be talking about the 1996 Grand Slam team na maraming uma-argue na pwede mo itapat sa Death 5 na to.
Sure.
Honorable mention should be siguro the early 90s Pure Foods team. Si Cap, si Jerry, si Dindo, Dindo Pumaren, di ba? Sino pa ba nasa starting unit ninyo?
Rey Evangelista yung tres mo, syempre.
Oo. Di ba?
Tapos,
So,
pwede kang mag Olsen Resela Bong Ravena era, pwede kang mag Vince Hison, pwede ka dun sa mas late ng konti. It's also, you know, a good competitor, pero wala
at saka ang daming finals na pinuntahan sa All Filipino. Not winning it all the time, pero they were there battling semis, finals, nandun palagi, di ba?
Pero wala kasing tumagal ng ganito di ba? Parang, sure, Jerry and Alvin, sure. Rey Evangelista only played for one franchise in his entire career. Pero yung tagal, yung dekadang sama-sama na magaling na nananalo ng championship. Kaya nga, again, you know, another team that we could mention before you mentioned the Alaska squad, of course, yung Grand Slam team ni Coach Tim Cone, di ba? The San Mig Coffee Mixers, you have to mention those as well. You have Mark Baroka, James Yap, PJ Simon, Mark Pingris, Rafi Rivas. Again, an outstanding 5. Pero hindi rin naging set yung starters nito PJ was coming off the bench. Maganda yung balasa nila ng tao, mas malalim ng konti yung kanilang bench. So again,
medyo Devans pa yun.
That's also true. So there are
dinagdag mo sa dulo si Alain Maliksi, di ba?
Sure.
There were pieces pa rin
Ian Sangalang was a rookie when they won.
Very young, yep.
So it's difficult just to form a 5, and that was what SMB got perfectly in forming the Death 5.
So ngayon, may mga binabanggit tayong honorable mention, pero siguro isa na sa dalawang pinakamalapit na pwede mong kumpara. Unahin natin, the 1996 Grand Slam Alaska Milkmen. Di pa sila aces doon. Johnny Abrientos at the 1. Coach Jojo Lastimosa at the 2. Coach Jeff Carriazo at the 3. Bong Hawkins at the 4. And Poch Trino at the 5. 1-4 again, Carlo. Right there with the best them.
Yeah.
Ang tanong sa 5.
Again, Junmar di ba? Parang yun yung dadali talaga sa'yo. Kasi you have all-timers. Those are all-timers. Coach Johnny Abarrientos and Jojo Lastimosa, one of the 25, 2 of the 25 greatest players. Di ba? And I've always thought that Coach Jeffrey Carriazo never really got the respect that he deserves in terms of being an all-timer. Because he is. Parang ganun po kataas yung respeto natin kay Coach Jeffrey Carriazo. Maybe he's gotten the raw end of it, but in terms of what he gave to the PBA, in terms of his talent, in terms of playing on both ends of the floor, that guy was the complete package. There's no doubt about it. So again, the first 4, point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, you could say that it's a wash, but the big difference, was Junmar Fajardo. But again, pwede mong gawa ng case yung Alaska kontra sa San Miguel. And we've discussed this in the reunion of SMB and the reunion of Alaska. But itong Death 5, binigyan tayo ng pagkakataon para balikan yung mga iba pang napakalalakas na 5 sa PBA, di ba? They gave us an opportunity to compare them in an all-time manner. Of course, walang mali, walang tamang sagot sa mga ganitong klaseng diskusyon, but that's how special they were, no? Ganun ka-special yung nagawa nitong grupo na to. And again, it's coming to an end. Arwind Santos traded to Northport Batang Pier for Vic Manuel. Hindi po namin sinasabi ni Magu that everything is final. We are not privy to the discussions. Hindi natin alam kung may plano ba yung Northport to ship Arwind elsewhere or Vic Manuel to ship elsewhere for SMB. We don't know.
Akala ko nagpan intended ka sa Northport as ship pero ginamit mo rin sa San Miguel.
Naubusan na ako ng words. Anyway,
we're just
we don't know.
As it is tonight.
Yep, right now, as of the
just
moment.
What we know tonight. Before we wrap it up, of course, we're all going to be alleviating to the early 2010s TNT, banggitin na rin natin yung early 2000s na San Miguel Beermen din. The Danny eras, yung Danny's eras. From 1999 to 2001, 5 out of 6 championships. They just missed out on a Grand Slam, Carlo. But this is a team that featured Olsen Racela at the point, Dwight Lago at the 2, Danny Dynamite Danny Seagal at the 3, Nick Velasco at the 4, and Danny Ildefonso at the 5. 5 out of 6 tournaments pinanalo na ito mga to, Carlo. Natalo lang sila sa All Filipino sa Alaska.
At sabi ni Danny Ildefonso dun sa isa sa mga pinakaunang 2OT episodes natin na reunion nila, sila ang mananalo kontra sa lineup ngayon, di ba? I just love it, the gamesmanship between that team and this team.
Isipin mo yung lakas ng team na yun, ha? 2002, dinagdag mo pa si Dorian Peña. 2003, dinagdag mo pa yung Don Monteveros. And then they started winning again by 2005. Pero nag-disband na rin dahil yung mga Danis medyo nagkaedad na and all that. Kaya nga, it's just a testament to what this Death 5 did, Carlo.
Yun yung susunod na pupuntahan natin sa discussion, Magu. It's because this has happened before, of course. May mga trades na nangyayari pag tumatanda yung mga players. It's just a part of it, no? But SMB is the winningest franchise in the PBA. And it's because they know what they're doing. Even though there are going to be painful decisions. Dahil hindi madaling magpaalam kila Danny Seagal, or Danny Ildefonso, Don Ontiveros. Pero kailangang tanggapin ng franchise and the management that at some point the partnership or the union between that squad will come to an end. And they decided that this will be the end of it for Arwind Santos and his stint with the San Miguel Beermen. It's tough. It's tough to accept if you're an SMB fan, but again, you just have to trust that the team owners and the management committee know what will be best for them moving forward. Kasi kinapos sila di ba? They lost to TNT in Game 7 and now they will try to make the necessary moves to make sure that does not happen again sa ating susunod na conference.
And 5 straight Philippine Cups. Before them, 3 straight Philippine Cups, TNT. Before that, 27 years, wala man lang nag-back-to-back pagdating ng Philippine Cup. Kaya ang pwede mo ng pinakamalapit na pwedeng sabihin, kasi merong di ba may mga for the sake of argument, these guys, the 2010 to 2012 TNT Tropang Gig or Tropang Texters pa at the time, or Talk and Text pa, hindi pa TNT at the time, they won 3 straight. That is a hard feat in itself. Jimmy Alapag at the 1. You have Jason Castro, Larry Fonacher, RDO, and you've even got Ryan Reyes and Kelly Williams there. So ayan, 7 na naman yung sinabi nating lalaban natin. Dito sa 5 na to, Carlo. I can't find a set 5 that can compete.
Yeah.
Sorry, di ba?
Yep. Lagi mong sinasabi kung sino yung first man off the bench. Lagi mong sinasabi kung sino yung offense-defense substitution dun sa dulo. But it's the 5. That's what separates itong Death 5 ng SMB. Those are all interesting hypothetical matchups.
And kayo po, everybody watching right now on 2OT, on Tiebreaker Times, and especially of course sa Smart Sports Facebook pages, tingin nyo po, eto ba talaga yung pinakamalakas ng 5? We're talking about the Philippine Cup, ha? We're not talking about commissioners, we're not talking about governors, we're not talking about a Grand Slam dahil wala nga pong imports. Philippine Cup, I don't think it's arguably, it's a fact. They're the only ones who've won 5 straight. They're the only ones who've won 5 straight. So these guys are the greatest Philippine Cup team, Philippine Cup 5 of all time. Dahil 5 championship, and unless somebody else wins 5 straight, then you hold my beer. Ewan ko. Kayo po, sino tingin yung pinakamalapit ng pwede lumaban dito sa 5 to? As we move on with the discussion pa, Carlo, mamaya babalikan natin yung mga magiging comment.
Magu, may nagtanong dito. Ano daw yung title nung Netflix series na gusto mong ipapanood? Bad Sport po yung title. Sport. Yeah, Bad Sport yung title.
Episode 1. Makikita nyo paano magsisisi doon. Makikita nyo yung iyak niya dahil binaboy niya yung laro. We're not talking, hindi po sa San Miguel yan, doon po sa Netflix yan. yung Narcos Mexico 3, magaling. Nag-promote.
Parang,
Katatapos ko lang eh.
parang producer ka sa pag-promote mo ng Netflix.
Sabi mo, 10 episode yun, hindi ko binitawan. 10 magdamag, tinira ko. Walang... Natapos ako 5:10 ng umaga.
Sa mga, I'm sure maraming nanonood na ngayon, Maguno, na nanonood ngayon na SMB fans. So share nyo sa amin your favorite Arwind Santos moment.
Yun, isa pa pala. Oo.
Could be a big shot, could be, a personal experience with Arwind Santos, could be a funny moment with Arwind Santos. So let us know. Let us know if there are any SMB fans who are watching us on 2OT or Tiebreaker Times or sa Smart Sports. Just type in your comments and we will be sure to read them dito sa ating episode ngayon.
Umpisa na natin, Carlo. Sabi ni Mark Anderson, was really a shocker how it's looking so far. Di pa last deal ng SMB to. Yun yung we've been wondering the same thing, Sir Mark. Di ba, Carlo?
Yep, for sure. Because we don't know yet. Kasi yun nga the initial assessment, Magu, was that the relationship, yung bigs na Junmar Fajardo and Arwind Santos, it worked because, one, Arwind Santos can make threes. Two, Arwind Santos can cover for Junmar's lack of mobility. Yung bilis ni Arwind Santos sa depensa, kayang tulungan, kayang punan nitong si Arwind Santos. And you do not get both with Vic Manuel. So, yun yung mga bagay na we just put it out there. Maraming nagsasabi na paano yan? Parang sisikip ba sa loob with how does this work with Mo, with Vic Manuel, with Junmar there? So we don't know yet. So hintayin natin. Will this be the last move of SMB? We don't know.
Commercial muna. Sabi ni Clyde John, magandang gabi mga sirs. Hopefully makabalik na ang vaccinated fans din as well. Ganito po yan. Commercial lang to sa topic. Kung sakaling maaprubahan, magkaroon ng fans back in the stands, sigurado po vaccinated muna ang papapasukin. For that much, we're sure. Siguro next year na or the year after. Kaya kung kayo po gusto nyo manood ng live, kung sakasakali lang napapayagan. Kung hindi pa po kayo bakunado, pabakuna na po tayo. Para kung sakaling magpapasok, sigurado vaccinated lang muna to begin with ang papasukin. Lahat tayo mag-enjoy. Okay, balik tayo sa topic natin. Interesting
Yeah.
Ito na, Carlo. Inumpisa na. Mas magandang topic yata yung gusto mo eh. Mas maganda yung most memorable Arwind moments eh. Sabi ni John Lloyd Chongson, Sir Carlo, Game 7 against Alaska, the 3-point shot over Abueva.
Yep,
Underrated of so many clutch shots ni Arwind. That shot, Carlo.
Yep. I think it was the first, diba? Yun yung pinakauna. In Game 7, that was the first of the series of 5 championships against Alaska, in the Philippine Cup rather, and it was versus Alaska.
Hindi, yun ba yung pagkamalas-malas din niya, buong laro?
Tingin ko I can't remember sa dami. Alam mo,
sa dami ng clutch shots niya.
Sa dami ng natira ni Arwind Santos na malalaki.
May pabanda pa yan eh. May pabanda pa, di ba?
Ito, syempre, maraming nagko-comment na yung mga Spider-Man dunk that have been disallowed, yung mga namimiss nila with Arwind Santos playing for SMB, of course.
Martin Dirk Doncic Tabudlong says, sa tingin nyo, Sir Carlo, isang factor kaya dito yung pag-rise ulit ng TNT franchise? Carlo, you take it.
Yun nga they lost to TNT, right? It's a matter of fact. TNT defeated SMB in the semifinals and they won the championship. So if you are a team that has loaded up with stars, lagi nga nating binabanggit, di ba? They're 8 superstar deep yung SMB. And if you lost with that lineup, then of course you will make other moves, necessary moves to try and not lose the championship next time. Parang I don't think it is specifically to address TNT, but if you are SMB, you're playing for championships. Ganun kasimple yung San Miguel Beer. You are chasing championships. And if you fell short, the next time you'll try to be better, you'll try to make the necessary moves in terms of your personnel to try and give it a go. Kasi yung natalo nila sa PBA bubble, was somehow acceptable. Kasi wala si Junmar di ba? Parang kung wala si Junmar, hihintay mong bumalik and give that team one more run at it. And this was it. They got another run with the old crew, with the additions, and it fell short. So ngayon, tingin nila, oras na para gumawa ng galaw, and that's what they did. They pulled the trigger.
And we were talking about it during this bubble, Carlo, during the Bacolor tournament.
Mm-hmm.
That five, they deserved to compete again. They deserved a chance.
Yeah, for sure.
To defend what they believe was supposed to be theirs to begin with. Yung nawala sa kanila ng Clark bubble. They've put in so much work. They've given not just San Miguel, but not just the PBA, but Philippine basketball fans in general. They've given us yung alamat na iniwan nila, the way they work together. They deserve to have one more shot at it, one more run at it. Ayun nga, yung run it back nila, umabot naman hanggang Game 7 ng finals. But it stopped there. So yun na, nag-decide ng franchise, it's time to try other things.
Merong ditong comment Sabi niya, Sir Magu, why do I have this feeling that Arwind will go either with Barangay Ginebra or Magnolia after a brief stint with Northport? Tama kaya pakiramdam ko, sir? We don't know. That's the beauty of this. We don't know what will happen next, Magu. Kasi, again, a lot of teams will try to retool kasi hindi lang naman ito yung naging trade natin during the conference break. The first trade was between Terra Firma and Blackwater. Pinagpalit nila sila Simon Enciso and Roshan McCarthy. Pagkatapos noon, Blackwater gumalaw ulit. Acquired JV Casio and Barkley Ebonia for Mike Tolomia and future second round pick. But the series of trades that led to this was first Northport Batang Pier with Phoenix Super LPG. Nakuha ng Northport itong si Vic Manuel and Michael Calisaan after only playing one conference with Phoenix. And yung Fuel Masters naman, they picked up Sean Anthony, Sean Manganti, and a 2021 second round pick. Yun po yung mga changes so far in terms of the lineup before the start of our second conference. But again, I'll have to agree that it feels that there will be more. Hindi pa tapos ang galawan ng players, Magu. We don't know what these are, but we're expecting more movement in the coming weeks.
But, Carlo, if Arwind is staying with Northport, you know what I like about this? Initial reaction.
Yeah.
I'm loving this for Greg Slaughter.
Yeah, for sure.
Because yun yung spacing na kailangan mo. Look at tingnan mo yung high-low. With all due respect to Chris Ross and Alex Cabagnot, I believe ang pinakamahusay mag-entry pass, mag-feed kay Kraken, si Arwind. Pag umahaylo na sila sa taas kasi ng angulo ng pinanggagalingan pa lang ng pasa ni Arwind, binibigay kay Junmar and pati yung kick back out ni Junmar para sa kanya. Imagine Arwind and Slaughter doing the same thing na para sa Batang Pier, and you've still got Bolick there, di ba? And you've still got Malonzo. And
yep.
if Arwind stays with Northport, this should be good for Greg. Carlo, what do you think?
That would be a fun team. As in, if this is the lineup for Northport, kung wala ng additional moves, yung Batang Pier, that would be an exciting team. Nakita natin, Paulo Taha having his moments, Kevin Ferrer having his moments, of course, Robert Bolick with big-time basketball in the playoffs. Should be a fun team. Should be a really fun team to see moving forward. Tapos,
and you also mentioned rin, Carlo, Sean Anthony moving over to Phoenix.
Yep.
I like this move too. Binibiro naman natin simula pa lang nasa Inares Pasig pa lang hanggang lumipat sa Bacolor. Vic Manuel his muscles weren't as defined, if you want to put it that way, when he showed up after the trade from Alaska. He was a bit on the heavy side, but now you put in Sean Anthony, an all hustle guy, the guy they actually lost in Calvin Abueva, that kind of hustle. That should be nothing but good for Matthew Wright and the rest of the Phoenix Super LPG.
Tapos yung Canadian connection between Sean Anthony and Matthew Wright na sinabi rin ni Coach Topex na there's respect between the two, and it was one of the reasons kung bakit nila pinursue yung trade na yon, yung palitan na yon. It's rather unfortunate, Magu, na hindi nakuha nung Phoenix yung best nitong si Vic Manuel, because
Yeah.
In some of their best games, he wasn't even there, 'di ba? Hindi man lang nakapaglaro, hindi man lang nakatulong talaga sa sahig itong si Vic Manuel. Again, it was a big
Na
challenge.
parang yeah. Parang nagkasapawan din kasi sila ni Perkins eh. And then Chua ended up eventually losing all the minutes. I think yung magandang retool ni Coach Topex is Sean Anthony can play alongside etong si Perk.
Yeah.
Di ba? May outside shooting, may magaslaw. Parang, we're not saying he's just like Calvin Abueva, but he brings Calvin Abueva-like features to the game para dito sa Phoenix, di ba?
And the leadership, of course, itong si Sean Anthony. We all know the story of how he helped Northport sa kanilang preparations before the restart of the PBA bubble, di ba? Sa Pampanga. Kasi, yun nga, nagka-problema with COVID-19 yung coaching staff ng Northport. And it was Sean Anthony and Kevin Ferrer who stepped up, who ran practices for the team. So you bring that kind of leadership to Phoenix, you add it to Matthew Wright, you give them another confidence with Chris Banquero, and Jason Perkins and Justin Chua stepping back into their old roles na silang dalawa talaga yung main men playing 35, 38 minutes per ball game. Should be another fun team. Tapos yung import nila, possible import nila, we've seen the list, we've heard the discussions. Paul Harris should be an outstanding addition kasi ganun din siya eh. Ganun din siya, di ba maglaro, di ba Magu?
Kaya nga nabalian ng daliri yan, di ba? Kaya nakilala ng Pilipinas si Justin Brownlee. Di ba? Kaya nakilala. If Hinebra fans would know this, si Justin Brownlee po replacement import nang dumating dito. Dahil si Paul Harris yung import, first game nabalian ng daliri. They needed a replacement. Ano sabi ni LA Tenorio? Dumating daw dito ni walang sapatos. Walang rubber shoes.
Yep.
Ni wala daw pang laro, di ba?
Hindi
naman ganun kaharap.
Sabi ni Sol Mercado sa kanilang first practice with Justin Brownlee, this dude is trash.
hindi po kami nag-iimbento. Hanapin nyo dito sa Tuti yung interview ni Sol tsaka interview ni LA. Hindi nila akalain ganun si JB. We welcome JB back to the PBA when he makes it back. Ayan nga, ang daming nangyayari around. Merong mga team na nakikita natin panalo. May mga team na hindi pa natin sure kung doon pa yung final destination. And with what's going on, it should be an interesting next few days again, Carlo, para dito sa buong mundo ng PBA, di ba?
For sure. Yung mga imports, pag-uusapan pa natin dito sa 2OT Maguno. Of course, we're still waiting for IATF approvals, yung mga pagpa-finalize ng PBA office, of course, led by Commissioner Willie Marshall and with the help of the government. We're still finalizing, waiting for matters to be finalized bago natin ma-announce kung kailan ang magiging susunod na conference ng PBA, kung ano yung magiging setup, kung pwede na ba yung fans. I'm sure everyone is excited to get into it again dahil nga tumaas na yung rate natin ng vaccination, especially in NCR. No? Mataas na yung rate of vaccination. So there is a lot of positive energy towards the possibility of welcoming fans again. I'm very excited for it. I hope it happens, but I'm sure that they're still in the process of figuring things out. Hinahanap pa nila kung ano yung pinaka magandang paraan to welcome back fans but still keep everyone safe because it's a balance between the two.
Si Sir Wilson Manangan may tinatanong na trade pero hindi rin yata siya sure. We don't do trade rumors po, sir. Pag sure na, pag sila na nagsabi, tsaka natin pagkwentuhan. Hindi naman natin alam kung saan galing itong mga ganitong chismis, hindi natin sure yan. Si Brian Riaj is asking, wala pa ba final lineup ng PBA 3x3? November 13, abangan nyo sa YouTube ng PBA. Meron pong presscon. And dun, sigurado, final lineup na yun. Presscon eh. Sigurado, ang alam lang natin, si Fonasher maglalaro ulit. That's something to look forward to.
Yep. Very exciting ang magiging labanan sa PBA 3x3. And that should come a little bit earlier, I think, than the next conference ng 5-on-5. So may mga susundan pa tayo na magagandang basketball action and the half court this time to see different players naman. Pero Magu, parang gusto ko yung nangyayari sa PBA 3x3 in a sense that it would parang nagiging combination siya ng 3x3 that we've seen in the Philippines and yung big 3 ng US because you're seeing some of the legends come back or stay with their teams na hindi man 5-on-5, laro tayo ng ibang klaseng basketball. So It should be very exciting moving forward.
Ang maganda lang dito, we are sticking to the 3x3 game.
Mm-hmm.
Yung sa Big 3 kasi, medyo magulo. May 4-point parang NBA Jam may 4-point shot pa yata dun eh. Hindi, tsaka parang tatluhan lang talaga, 3 aside. Iba yung 3x3 game eh. So, ito pag nag-launch, November 13 po, abangan natin pare-pareho. Yung press conference to officially tell all of us ano ba talaga, kailan na, sino mag-players, ganito, gano'n. But it is right around the corner, Carlo.
May tanong dito si Gian Fario. Sabi niya, tingin nyo, sir, ano po yung good side and bad side of this trade for SMB? That's a very interesting question. Of course, on the positives, you get a little bit younger. 40 si Arwind Santos, 34 si Vic Manuel. So in terms of just pure math, you have more years with Vic Manuel, possible years for Vic Manuel, of course, knock on wood, that he will be in service to the San Miguel Beermen if they do decide to keep him. Na yun nga, hindi natin alam kung final na yan, whatever might happen. In terms of negatives, when you lose someone who has been a part of your team for a decade, malaking kawalan yan. Diba? The presence of Arwind Santos, the leadership of Arwind Santos, the chemistry with the rest of the team, yun yung mga immediately pagdadaan ng pagsubok ng San Miguel Beer once they get to play again without Arwind Santos in the upcoming conference.
Arwind, of course, did not start his career out with San Miguel. Nag-R21 po yan back in the day. Nakarating pa nga po silang finals. Nung grupo nila RDO, si Ping, nandun pa, diba, at that time, and Gary David, that group. But 12 years sa San Miguel, and ang dami nung pinagdaanan. That might be the only negative, I guess, dahil sa haba nga ng history ni Arwind with San Miguel and San Miguel with Arwind, of course. This is a proud franchise and this is a proud player. Yun yung mamimiss ng fan base ng San Miguel. And even yung mga ayaw sa San Miguel, ayaw sa Arwind, mamimiss nyo rin na hindi nyo na mabubusi Arwind while with San Miguel. Look at these accolades, Carlo. 2013 MVP. He still is the last MVP not named John Fajardo. FYI. Kasi last year, wala namang MVP, di ba? So 2013 MVP, a 9-time PBA champion, including 5 in the Philippine Cup, 2-time PBA Best Player of the Conference, 2-time Finals MVP, an 11-time PBA Mythical Team, Shampoo dyan, Mythical 5, the other 2, Mythical Second Team, etong si Arwind. 7-time All-Defensive Team, and of course, one of the PBA's 40 greatest players. Mahaba pa yan, di lang mapagkasya ni Guaps dahil matatakpan na yung ulo ni Arwind pagkaano. Ang dami pa po ng accolades ni Arwind. Pero ito yung mga pinakamabibigay. How about this resume?
And yung pinaka-impressive sa akin dyan, of course, everything is impressive, no? But to be good in defense for as long as he was, diba? It speaks...
Dude was averaging close to 2 blocks a game pa rin.
Yep. Magaling pa rin siya eh, diba? Parang hindi pa rin nawawala yung depensa ni Arwind Santos coming from his FU days. We all know that he was an outstanding blocker in the UAAP, turned it into success in the PBA, and is still doing it at 40 years old. Diba? That makes it so impressive. Kaya naman, if he, stays with Northport, kung talaga siya maglalaro for the upcoming conference, that should be a great addition for Northport Batang Piarno. Kinulang sila, and it was of course painful for them to lose that way, no? Kasi we all remember the shot nitong si Robert Bolick, yung parking lot shot niya na binalikan nitong si Alex Cabagnot. But when you have an inspired Arwind Santos who wants to prove that he is still one of the best players, best forwards in the PBA, that is, a shot on the arm para sa koponan ng Northport. Kaya really looking forward to seeing the future for both these teams. Syempre kasama yan dun sa mystique, kasama yan dun sa drama ng trades. It's something fresh, it's something new, and it's something that we will be looking for sa pag-uumpisa ng susunod na conference.
Pag inisip mo nga, if he stays there, parang swak na swak din siya sa 3-piece ni Coach Pido, no?
Mm-hmm.
Pride, Puso, Pido. Ay, Palaban. Lalo na yung Palaban. Yung Palaban ni Coach Pido, andun pa rin eh. Si Arwind at 40, he's... Ano yun, may nagbibiro. Ano yung meme na nakita ko? Dati daw magaling si Arwind, ngayon 3 na lang ng 3.
Oh.
Yun. May nagpupukpok dito.
May isang...
may nag-uukay ng tunnel si El Chapo. Ay.
May isang nag-tweet kanina Batang Pierre daw yung iba, tapos Tatang Pierre si Arwind Santos.
Inumpisahan niyo na si Arwin, ha? Pambira kayo. Pero Arwin, he will get a lot of minutes over there if he stays there. And he should be out to prove again that he can still hang with the best of them. He's got a year or two left in him. And ganyan pang shinake up mo yung mundo ni Arwin ngayon. Panibagong yan parang sinindihan mo na naman yung apoy sa ilalim ni Arwin ito, di ba? I can't wait to see him play again.
Yep. We have questions, no? May isa tayong tanong dito sa Smart Sports. Sabi niya, mga sir, what will Arwin's biggest contribution be when he finally plays for Northport? Of course, more than his experience and leadership, maybe in terms of skills. Ano pa yung pwede niyang makontribute? I think he solves a lot of issues on defense because he's able to cover a lot. Your guards can make mistakes, even your bigs can make mistakes. Pero pag meron kong Arwind Santos, once he gets to learn yung mga philosophy ng system, especially defensively ni Coach Pido, he will plug in a lot of holes. He will save your ass many times on defense.
So speaking of skills, outside of leadership and outside of binanggit mo na, Carlo, I mentioned it kanina. That entry pass and that floor spacing.
Yeah.
Him and Greg on one side of the floor, Santos Slaughter, yung mga entry pass ni Arwin na yan, ilang taon na niyang binibigay kay Junmar. Si Greg naman ngayon na magiging target mo. And then of course, he spaces it because he's got that outside shot. Yun yung pinakamala. And Sean Anthony also had an outside shot pero hindi sila ganun kadalas nagkasabay ni Slaughter. Anthony and Slaughter did not spend that much time together on the floor before Anthony got traded away. Yun ang isang madadala ni Arwin dito.
Merong isang hater dito ni Arwind Santos. Sabi niya, na-trade daw kasi si Arwin kasi puro alam lang niya tumira ng tres.
Yun nga yung sasabi sa meme. Yung mga dating magaling daw, tres na lang ng tres ngayon. Panoorin niyo po sa depensa. Panoorin niyo po sa depensa.
At yun yung kailangan gawin ni Arwin,
Hindi na po pwedeng pumose si Arwin. Pag nandiyan si Junmar, nilagay mo si Arwin sa block, traffic. Wala po, magkakagulo-gulo na doon. Wala na mangyayari sa kung anong atake. Yun po yung naging role ni Arwin. Kaya siya tres ng tres.
And you also have to accept, Mago, na dun sa pag-angat ng SMB as a franchise, Arwind Santos willingly took a step back because he knew that Junmar Fajardo was that good. MVP to Sinasabi mo kanina, di ba? MVP to. He was the last MVP before Junmar Fajardo.
Junmar.
Yep. But when Junmar started hitting his stride, nung umangat na yung laro nitong si Junmar Fajardo, Arwind Santos says, your team. No problem. Be the man. Ikaw ang magiging MVP because he saw na for the team to be successful, it will have to feature a lot of Junmar Fajardo getting touches at the post. And he allowed it to happen and he trusted the system and it led to championships. Yun yung mamimiss ng SMB fans dito kay Arwind Santos because there are moments na laging tatatak sa inyo di ba? Yung na-miss niya na layup against Barangay Ginebra that led to game winner by Japet Aguilar, tapos si Magumar John pa yung nagtawag nung call na yan. I think it was in MOA. Tama ba? Napanood ko lately Napanood ko minsan You'd remember those moments. Pero
send mo link.
Pero yung point ko is if you make yourself a factor doon sa end game, these things will happen. 'Di ba? Wala namang garantisadong 100% na perfect in the end game. So you will always, have those moments na ba't ginawa to ni Arwin, ba't nangyari to kay Arwin. But overall, sa dami po ng nabigay na positives ni Arwin sa San Miguel Beer, he will be, one of the best ever to wear that jersey. And that is saying something. That is saying something because that is the winningest franchise in PBA history. And he may be one of the top 10, Magu?
I don't think anybody's ever... Oh, yeah, easily. And sa dami na magaling, So dami na magaling na naglaro sa San Miguel. I don't think anybody's ever going to be allowed to now wear number 29 there anymore.
Is it a stretch?
I don't think anybody's
that he's one of the top 10 players in SMB history?
Junmar,
Don Ramon
Fernandez,
BI,
Samboy Lim,
DI.
DIDS. DIDS, dalawin na natin. O, 5 na yun, ha? Sama mo si Samboy. Si
Apo.
Coach Alan ba, do we consider him more San Miguel or more Great Taste or more Ginebra?
San Miguel.
Mamaya na natin sama si Coach Alan doon, ha? Pero may Ato Agustin ka, 1992 MVP yun. May Nelson na sa Itono ka na naging Michael Jordan ng late 90s. Under Coach Ron Jacobs, di ba?
Dapat isama mo si Olsen Racel, ha?
Rara, of course. Ilan na tayo? 8 siya. Oh, pasok na si Arwind doon. Ito na lang. Of the Death 5. Yeah. Of the Death 5 na lang. Junmar should be number 1 on the list sa pagpasok ng greatest SMB. Number 2 should be Arwind. With all due respect to Ross Lasseter and Cabagnot, they will also be there. But Arwind will be right behind Junmar. I think ginawa mong greatest San Miguel players of all time.
I think dun sa length of service, dun din mananalo si Arwind, di ba? Parang yung haba ng serbisyong binigay niya sa franchise. Of course, they won.
Hindi ko pa nabanggit si Abit Gidabin, 2-time MVP din yun. San Miguel din dati. Pero hindi kasi ganun katagal eh. Hindi katulad nung Arwind 12 years, di ba?
Tsaka natawid ni Arwind eh. Yung DI era to the Junmar Fajardo era, he was there. Diba? He was there for both. Nakapaglaro to as a part of yung Petron Blaze boosters. So he was a part of this franchise for the longest time. So
si Tower of Power ba sasama mo pa? Hindi, sandali lang naman. Shell talaga kilala si Benji.
Sobrang eksi naman nun. And alam natin di nagtagal yun masyado, no? Dito
Don nandyan din.
Tama.
Okay.
Dami. But still,
Arwind belongs in that conversation.
Yep, exactly. Sinabi natin kanina, no? We would want to hear from fans of the San Miguel Beermen kung gusto nyong parang mag-relive ng mga favorite moments niyo with Arwind Santos. If you want to thank him for his service, more than a decade of service sa inyong paboritong koponan. And, if you just want to, wish him well moving forward sa kanyang bagong journey in the PBA, we will drop the Zoom link. Baka meron tayong oras para magpasama ng isa pa.
Short messages lang.
Isa or dalawang fans. We will be sharing the link. Guaps, pwedeng pa post both on 2OT and Smart Sports. So at this point, syempre, gusto rin namin
short messages lang before we wrap it up.
Kasi ang daming nalungkot
in the meantime, habang nilalagay yung link dyan, habang nandiyo dyan sa Asamba, nasa comments, nakapin, gano'n. Habang pinipin po dyan yung Zoom link, sa description, habang nandiyan po nilalagay sa description yung Zoom link, pasadaan natin ilan. Jonathan James Nazario says Arwind can play on any team because he does not need the ball to be effective. Agree po tayo dyan. Ikaw, Carlo, agree?
Yeah, sure.
Agree. Carlo Canizares says, Malonzo, pag nagka-shooting din, just like Arwind tingin nyo, sirs, he was showing shades of it, ha? He was showing that shooting touch. He can shoot. Can't wait for that kid to develop as well.
He can shoot.
Pwedeng i-mentor ni Arwind yun. Sakasakali. Di ba?
True.
Pagka hindi na nagkagalawan. John Lawrence Azarcon Orozco is asking, mga sirs, is Arwind one of the best two-way players all-time in the PBA? Pakibabad niyang accolades. 11-time mythical team, 7-time defensive player, defensive all-defensive team. Di ba?
Yes.
That's a two-way player if I've ever seen one.
So
definitely.
Yes.
Sino pa ba?
Ang sagot
diba?
po ay yes.
Tinutulungan tayo ni Sir Kenneth Maneze. Search nyo lang yung awards niya. Ang dami eh. Actually po, yan, dapat kung pinakompleto natin mga 5 page na ganyan. bago natin makompleto yung mga baka 6 na page pa. Pablito Fabioso Jr., one of the best two-way players, offense and defense, MVP, BPC ng Liga, Defensive Player of the Year pa. How many times? 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, pero nilagay po namin yung 7-time All-Defensive Team kasi yan yung official award. Yung Defensive Player of the Year is a PBA Press Corps Special Award. Ang dami pa. Hector Calma, sinasabi mga the best na ano.
Ito, Magu.
FedEx nag-drop sa kanya. Opo, Air 21 is FedEx. Tama po. Meron na. May kakwento
Meron nang gustong sumama. Again, if you're an SMB fan at meron kayong saloobin, meron kayong dinadamdam tungkol dito sa trade nitong si Arwind Santos, let us know. Make us part of the conversation. I know that it's tough. Lahat naman tayo syempre naging fan first of a PBA team, of a PBA player. So it's tough to deal with situations like this, no? Arwind Santos again traded by the San Miguel Beermen to Northport, Batang Pier. Kapalit niya po si Vic Manuel. That was the biggest news of the day in the PBA. I think we are joined by... Ay, nag-drop. Nawala bigla. So, papasok tayo ng iba. Na-shy bigla si Clarice yata yung name niya. Maybe we could get Clarice later on.
Ronald Passion? Enrico, si Sir Enrico. Naku, nawala din.
Wala din. Parang
kasi mag-smart 5G po tayo. Mag-smart 5G tayo.
Oo, dapat yung connection sigurado.
Smart tayo dapat.
5G. Pinakamabilis na mobile data sa Pilipinas. Yan dapat ang kunin natin.
Paulo Nico Alfonso. Come on down. Sana wag nang mag-drop.
Paulo,
on po ng video.
Turn on your video para makausap ka namin dito sa 2OT. Paulo? Mukhang hindi rin makakonect itong si Paulo. Subok tayo.
Kenneth Manese, sinasabi. Babasa muna tayo. Sabi ni Kenneth, multiple UAP champion and MVP din, PBL MVP din. Yes, sir. And champion din. Hindi nga namin mapagkasi. Actually, hindi pa naman po magre-retire si Arwind. Puro San Miguel accolades lang tayo nag-concentrate. In mga 5 years, pagka nag-retire si Arwind, tsaka natin pasadaan lahat-lahat, pati UAP career niya, pati national team. Ito. Sir Romel, on mo ulit. Romel Arellano.
Sir Romel, nandiyan ka ba? Mukhang nasa-shy sila eh. Pag nasa meeting na, biglang lumalabas eh.
Tinatakot mo, Carlo eh.
Oo nga eh. Subok tayo iba.
Ito.
Mago.
Ayan, so basa ulit tayo. Ravel Cruz says, Arwind can switch from 1 to 5. True po. Kaya bantayan. Ganda rin ng spacing na kaya niyang ibigay na unlock yung strength ng San Miguel because of Arwind's versatility. Definitely po. Ikaw, Sir Jordy, agree ka ba doon?
Hello po.
Hello, Jordy.
Magandang gabi, sirs.
So, SMB fan ka? SMB fan ka?
Hindi po.
Sabi namin SMB fan eh. Anong chinicheer mong team sa PBA?
And the Death 5 na buwag na.
Po.
Token
Text po.
Okay, sige. So ikaw, syempre, being a fan of TNT, madalas mo nakikita si Arwind Santos. Syempre, alam ko na maraming fans ng kabilang team, may respeto, pero may inis din kay Arwind Santos. Ano yung mga favorite moments mo na Arwind Santos going up against TNT?
Tangina. Wala akong masagot dyan.
Sige, ano na lang yung masasabi mo tungkol sa naging trade ng SMB?
Siyempre malungkot ako nang malaman kong na-trade si Arwind Santos sa Northport kapalit si Vic Manuel kasi matagal na siyang nandyan sa team ng SMB kaya yung kanilang relationship sa kaniyang ka-teammates talagang matindi na po yung kanilang band. Yun lang po.
No, Jordy.
TNT since day one, sirs?
Ilang taon ka na daw fan ng TNT?
Iwan ko yung basta 2012 pa. Nanonood ako ng basketball.
So itong pagkawala ni Arwind sa San Miguel, pwede ba nating kumpara do sa paglipat naman ni Jimmy Alapag papunta Meralco? Di ba? Parang
pwede. Kaso nag-retire kasi yun Magu eh, di ba? Kaya medyo mas
tas bumalik, tas lumipat.
Oo eh.
RDO, di ba? RDO din.
Solid.
Yeah.
Solid.
Parang gano'n, ano? Salamat, sir.
Sir Jordy, maraming salamat. Next time. Hanap tayo ng ano, hanap tayo
Hindi natin
ng
pina-shout. Hindi na tayo, nakalimutan mo pa shout out.
naghanap tayo ng ano
Yung susunod
ng,
pwede mag-shout out.
ng San Miguel Beer
Kalimutan
fan
na.
eh. Siyempre
Kaya yung San Miguel since day one.
sila yung may
Yan.
feelings ngayon eh, 'di ba? Sila yung may dinadamdam na gusto nilang ilabas. Kaya itong si
Sir John
Daniel
Hero. Tama ba?
SMB fan?
Yes, very solid.
Yun. Okay. Game. Tell us what you feel after the trade.
Nasaan ka kanina? Anong ginagawa mo nung nabasa mo biglang, di ba? Mga ganun.
Actually, mga ano pala.
Nung nabasa mo.
Ako, siguro this afternoon, actually magpapahinga sana ako eh. Kaso yung pag-siesta ko, nakita ko yung news. So, napaisip ako kaagad eh. Parang sayang, di ba? Kasi as a fan, nilook forward ko sana na makita na umabot siya sa 10,000 points. Okay, medyo sinusubaybayan ko yon. So parang okay sana kung naka San Miguel jersey siya na umabot sa 10,000 points.
So, yung of course, yung panghihinayang yung first reaction, no? Pero tingin mo naman parang ano yung favorite moment mo ni Arwind Santos in his stint with SMB?
Siguro yung nabanggit ko 3-point shot against Alaska. Yung unang tira niya nun, hindi umabot eh. Parang kapos eh. Tapos yung next na tira, umabot. Pa tayo, 2015, pero fresh pa sa 3. Ayun. Naabutan ko si Arwind nung amateur sa Lubao. So, nasubay
Magnolia.
Career.
Hindi.
Amateur pa, hindi pa PBL. Akala ko PBL. Before pa.
Opo. So, parang excited na nag-blossom
ganun na rin ka-dominante noon pa lang,
Opo. Tapos nung first time panood sa FEU, parang wow, parang nakikita ko lang siya dito, parang ganun. So, sayang. Pero siguro at least mama-maximize pa yung kaya niya pang gawin sa hindi natin masabi gaano pa katagal yung magiging career niya, pero at least mama-maximize yung talents, yung kaya, kung ano pang kaya niyang ibigay with another team.
Kuya John Daniel, bago ka namin pakawalan, bago ka rin mag-greetings sa mga lahat ng gusto mong batiin, message kay Arwind Santos. Matagal mong hinangaan, matagal mong sinuportahan. Ano yung sasabihin mo sa kanya as he embarks on his new journey with Northport, Batang Pier, possibly?
I think siguro we know what it feels to leave a team na you were with for the longest time. Siguro still play as as we know him na Arwind Santos, and siguro isang mga yung mga career game yung inaabangan natin sa kanya. He's still capable of doing those, and siguro with the disappointments, he should know na his fans tulad ko, I'm always proud to say that na ina-expect namin yung magandang laro, and kahit anong team yung suot niya, may susubaybay pa din.
Tingin mo, sirs, before we give you the opportunity for shoutouts, yung fire that Arwind brings to the game mula noon hanggang sa netong nakaraan, you combine that now with the fire that a kid like Robert Bolick is showing. Gaano ka-dangerous tong Northport pag nagsama to sila?
I think yung Northport more on guidance talaga yung kailangan nila, yung mature player that will stand for the team. And siguro yung mature player na talagang mag-lead sa kanila, someone who knows how to win, will definitely bring something for the Northport team, lalong-lalo na si Coach Pido. Din ako UST din, kaya kaya medyo nasusubaybayan din si Coach Pido. So siguro nagsama naman sila dati sa San Miguel na nasa coaching staff si Coach Pido. So alam niyang i-utilize yung capabilities or yung kayang i-deliver ni Arwind.
Kuya John Daniel, maraming salamat for joining us. We appreciate you spending the time. Any greetings? May mga gusto kang i-shoutout dyan?
Hello sa mga sa Hero family, yung mga kapatid ko sa Pampanga. Tsaka kay Arwind, idol.
Hindi mo tropa si Tyler, hindi niyo kamag-anak naman.
Happily.
So Kuya John Daniel, taga Pampanga ka, di ba? Malinaw?
Ayan, kapitbahay mo. Ayan.
Taga Pampanga ka, di ba? So papaalala ko lang sa'yo na sa November 15, pwede pang magpalit ng kandidato. Ha? Baka lang makapag-decide tayo na
Itutuloy ba natin yung piso para kay Carlo?
gusto ko maging nuisance candidate sa Pampanga. Pangarap ko sa buhay ko.
Ay, ang ganda ng pangarap mo, maging nuisance candidate.
John Daniel.
Thank you.
Maraming salamat, John Daniel Hero. Thank you so much. Siguro isa pa, Magu. Baka may mga comments dyan, ha. If you want to shout out, we will gladly, mention your name or whatnot. Kung ano yung kailangan yung ibalita, mga opinion about this trade. Yep.
Basta hindi nuisance na mga pangarap mo sa buhay. Ito. Mark Jason says, si Arwind, isa sa mga approachable na player sa PBA, kaya well-loved siya ng San Miguel fans, lalo na yung mga nanonood ng live sa Araneta. Totoo po yan. Si Arwind, just like, there's a handful of them, just like guys like sina Bo Belga. They like playing with the crowd, lalo na pagka binubunyo siya, doon siya sa fans kayo ng kalaban niya. Pero yun niya, that's the color that he brings to the game. That's what I love. And syempre, sa San Miguel, minahal siya doon. Yun ang inaantay ko, Carlo. If and when pwede ng fans manood ulit. Tapos makakalaban ng Northport o San Miguel, how do you think people react to Arwind? That's what I'm waiting for.
How will Arwind react to them? Yun din yung gusto mo manood, di ba? Parang...
bubwisitin ba kayo ni Arwind? Or paano, di ba? That should be fun.
Yep. Ito, may isa pa tayong kasama that would want to join us here in the call.
Bim Arlegi. On po ng camera. Hindi ba ikaw yan? Bim daw, Bim. Pakabagsakan tayo ni Carlo.
Hindi, hintayin natin. Hindi pa nag-on cam si Bim eh. Kasi syempre matagal din sila nakapila, no? So baka hindi pa sila ready. Bigyan natin ng ilang segundo itong si Bim before tayo maghanap. Si Sir Peter Manyala kasi naka-jersey siya na Hinebra, 'di ba? Doon sa profile pic niya. Kaya hindi natin siya mapapasok kasi he's a Hinebra fan eh. So pag Hinebra discussion baka po pwede natin subukan 'yan, but right now
ito muna.
Hanap muna
Marcos
tayo.
Roy Gomez says, yung kamay na Diyos moment talaga ang solid. Heartbreaking yun para sa Alaska. Yung kamay na Diyos ni Arwind, grabe yung tres na yun.
Yep.
Uy, eto na, nakapasok na si Sir Bim.
Diba? Doon sa profile pic niya. Kaya hindi natin siya mapapasok. Sir Bim, papatay muna yung audio mo, Bim. Papatay muna yung audio mo. Sa earphones muna tayo. Right now.
Ayan, sir.
Yan. Okay, we welcome to 2OT si Bim.
Hello.
Bim, para malinaw muna. Yung Bim ba is short for Bimbi?
Yes, sir. Idol. Pero nauna yun sa...
And si Carlo ba, kamukha? Okay.
Bim,
San Miguel fan?
Yes, sir. Since Racela, team. Nung time ni Racela, mga 90s, 2001, 2002, ganun.
Yan.
So nung
Coach
mo kanina na trade itong si Arwind Santos for Vic Manuel, ano yung initial reaction mo?
Actually, sir, nasa outing pa nga ako tapos nagbabasa ako ng newsfeed. Lumabas sa Spin PH na trade nga siya. So nalungkot ako kasi ina-expect ko sana doon na siya mag-retire eh. Yun lang eh. Kasi nga sobrang tagal na. So parang yung feeling ko parang katulad nung kina Danny Ay. Na parang ang dami na niyang nabigay na para sa team eh. So ina-expect ko na lang doon siya mag-retire kasi 40 years old na siya. Tapos hindi natin alam kung maglalaro pa nga siya sa Northport. So parang sa akin makapag-retire lang siya ng ayos doon sa SMB. Okay na ako eh. Kaya sobrang lungkot.
Ang sa akin naman, I hope he still plays, di ba? Hindi kasi it's happened before. Guys like si Sol Mercado, pagka-trade, umayaw na. Si Chris Ellis, pagka-trade, nawala. Di ba? Nawala na lang. It's happened before. Hopefully naman, maglaro pa rin si Arwind. Pero all indications naman, maglalaro pa rin daw. What does this do to, with or without Arwind, San Miguel fan ka pa rin, Sir Bim?
Yes, sir. Oo naman. 100%.
What does this do para sa San Miguel Beermen? Simula pa lang ba to ng pag-retool nila, or eto na ba yon and then mas bibigyan na ng pagkakataon sina CJ, Terence, and Mo? Ano tingin mo?
Siguro, sir, ko ako, siguro may 1 to 2 pa pwedeng i-trade, kung i-maintain nila si CJ Perez at Terence. So I think kung ako yung management, stay ako kay CJ at Terence
So
para explosibong backcourt na naman, ano?
Yes, sir. Yung for me,
Yung total niyan is, are you willing to see one more member of the Death Five? In terms of trade pieces, sabi mo gusto mo magstay si Terence.
Yes, sir, ganun. Kasi kumbaga parang pinakawalan ko na si Arwin . So, talagang retool na siya. Revamp na siya ng team.
Disband, ganun.
Yes, sir, parang ganun. Kung ako yung management, syempre.
Okay, so Bim, I think he is ready na siya, no, na mag-move on from the Death Five and possibly build a new one, no? Magtatag ng bagong SMB na mananalo ng multiple championships. Ikaw naman, ano yung favorite Arwind Santos moment mo? Aside from yung 3-point shot against Alaska, kasi karamihan yun talaga yung maaalala . Ano yung second favorite mo after that?
Ako yung sinakal siya ni Balkman.
Sinakal din naman niya . Okay. Hindi,
actually, yung yung nanalo
gusto ko
siya
sa
ng
moment
MVP.
na yun. Alam mo kung ano gusto ko sa moment na yun?
Yes, sir.
Hindi naman siya nagpasaka lang . Sinakal din niya .
Yun nga
Sinakal ka, sakali mo din. Yun ang gusto ko doon.
Yun nga lumaban .
Next
diba?
favorite moment. Your third favorite moment.
Actually, yung nag-MVP siya. For me, kasi parang talagang sobrang pasasalamat niya nun . Lumuhod pa siya nun .
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, yun yung pinaka-naalala ko. Kasi parang every game naman talagang 100% . I mean, wala akong masabi. Laging favorite player ko kasi sa Arwin .
So, I'm sure na, syempre, susuportahan mo pa rin yung San Miguel, pero yung mga Northport games, mukhang panonoorin mo na rin, di ba? Moving forward. Tama,
sir. For sure yun. For sure. Kasi syempre gusto
yun naman ang maganda doon.
Mapanood .
Yun naman maganda doon. Now you bring yung mga eyeballs na nakatutok kay Arwin. Ngayon, may isa pang team na tututukan. That's the beauty of it, I guess.
Alam mo, Bim, di ko makalimutan yung moment na yun ni Arwin, no, yung nanalo siya ng MVP. Kasi parang yung speech niya, sobrang sobrang bigat. Arwind Santos, nagbotejaryo, nagpedicab, di ba? Ngayon PBA MVP. Nung nilista niya yon, parang nakita mo yung bigat na pinasan niya just to make it to that level and do it. So, message for Arwind as he, parts with SMB and continues his basketball career.
Ano lang, sir, stay healthy din talaga lang. Kasi, tsaka God bless sa susunod niyang mga endeavors sa Northport, yan.
Ano yung pinaka-mamimiss mo having Arwind Santos as a member of the San Miguel Beermen?
Yung pagiging unselfish niya . So talagang yung sabi nyo nga din, binigay, parang nagparaya siya para kay Junmar, parang gano'n. Naging second option siya. Kasi kaka-MVP lang niya nun . Tapos biglang, second option na agad siya from Junmar . Ayun, yun yung ko, na pinaka-mamimiss ko sa kanya.
Any greetings, Bim?
Ano lang, sir, shoutout sa, Gucci Gang at saka Idols Only. Yun lang po.
Okay, Bim. Maraming salamat for joining.
Sa sapatos pala. Check nyo yung Beam Store page sa Instagram.
Mga sirs.
Mahihilig kami sa sapatos kung padalan mo kami ng sapatos.
Sir.
Joke lang, Bim. Maraming salamat for joining us, Bim.
Ingat po.
Ano yun?
Ano, Magu?
Ayos na.
Magu, any more greetings?
Interrupt pa.
Okay, mukhang...
Video interrupted ako dito . Sabi ni Marshall Sherwin Durante, masakit man sa pakiramdam pero kailangan tanggapin. Both ways eh. A lot of fans got hurt, but some nakaka-move on na. Ang maganda dito, aabangan pa rin natin the next couple of weeks what else will happen sa mundo ng ating PBA. And pag si Carlo sinipag, mag-e-episode ulit tayo pag may mabigat ulit nangyari.
Yun po yung pinapangako namin sa inyo, no? Every time something big happens and wala namang kaming gagawin, if we're available to hang out with you dito sa Smart Sports or 2OT or Tiebreaker Times, gagawin natin yan with Magu, of course, and ako and myself. Para lang, di ba, may kakwentuhan kayo tungkol sa mga kaganapan ng PBA habang walang nangyayaring laro. Yung mga moves, yun yung mga pagtuunan natin ng pansin. Moving forward, we will be discussing the lineups, the imports, and whatnot. We'll be making announcement about 3x3, yung mga 5-on-5 na paparating, kung ano ba yung mababalitaan natin coming from the PBA. Siyempre, ihahatid din natin yan sa lahat ng 2OT followers. But for this episode, Magu, this will have to be the end of it as we tip our hats to the Death 5 nitong San Miguel Beermen. One of the best to ever do it as a unit.
The best
to ever do it.
The
as
best
a unit.
Philippine 5. The best Philippine Cup 5 ever.
Arwind Santos traded. It's the end of an era. Ibang itsura ng PBA when we resume the competition's next conference. But for Arwind Santos and the San Miguel Beermen, of course, the bond will remain. Sabi nga nila, di ba, samahang walang katulad yan. But they will have to be on opposite sides the next time they see each other on the PBA floor. Again, maraming salamat po sa inyong patuloy na pagsubaybay sa 2OT. Ako po si Carlo Pamentuan for Magumar John. We thank you so much for your continued support and remind you that this episode of 2OT is presented by Smart 5G. Thank you and good night.
Salamat, Smart!